score, because in your threat of suing them for a HIPAA violation, you are demanding that they contact the reporting agency and correct the false information, and it's priceless. This was connected with my HIPAA lawsuit, but people weren't filing the lawsuit because the letter pretty much smashed them in the face. So I separated the letter, and then I just made it for 20. I marked it down $20, so people can afford to use it, because I know this is just going to be another way that people are going to be taken advantage of. And I sent you a link to it on Facebook, so maybe you guys could post that someplace. And that's one of the things I wanted to talk about today. Then there's like several things that we're going to go through. We're going to talk about the unlawful practice of law without a license a little bit. Apparently some people think that I'm doing that. So we want to clarify that. So
I'm going to call this today, Foreclosure Defense 101 and more, because you're doing way more, than what.
And if you think there'd be a better name for what I'm doing, I certainly hear it, because like I said, I'm not on the radio thing too much. I'm learning as I go.
Okay. We'll see what we can do. Let's see. I think we're already connected. Let's see if we're working. Yeah, we're already on. So I am live right now with my good friend. And I'm actually learning from him, guys, because I don't know everything either. But actually, he's a friend of mine. He's entrepreneur and a great guy. His name is Coach Neighbors. And I give you foreclosure defense and more today. What do you got for us today, Coach Neighbors?
Hey, guys. Hey, Gene. I'm glad to be here. It's a pleasure to be on your station and to be able to talk to so many people. And it's a pleasure that I don't take lightly. So today we're going to talk about a couple of things. First thing I want to talk about is my new medical dispute letter, which used to be the notice of claim letter for the HIPAA lawsuit package. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a paralegal, and I don't like what attorneys have been doing to people, so I stepped up to do something about it, and this is what I've done. So the notice of claim letter for medical dispute is actually a letter that you can use to get third-party debt collectors out of your face that are collecting on medical bills. And the reason this works is because your medical billing is protected under HIPAA. So these third-party debt collectors, they do not have the necessary precautions in place to protect your healthcare information as mandated under HIPAA. And if you Google on the internet, debt collectors or whatever, that's, oh yeah, once they do the charge off, you still have to pay. No, that's not true. I mean, they want you to pay and they try to make you pay, but legally, once they do the charge off and go through that process, it's illegal for them to make any more money off of that, looking at it from the corporate perspective. And I'll explain to you why. Once it's charged off, claimed on their taxes, and once that alleged debt has been claimed on the insurance, if they made any additional income off of that, it would be income tax, fraud and insurance fraud, income tax evasion and insurance fraud. And anybody that has anything to do with that could be charged also under the conspiracy statutes. So it's a pretty serious issue. Now, the violation of HIPAA, the way that I tell people all the time, don't just take my word for it. Do your own research. I'm going to put you in position to save you a lot of time. Okay, so if you do your research, you'll find out that if there's a HIPAA violation, it very rarely goes to trial because you have everything you need to show that you were violated. And the courts ain't trying to have no trial anyway. I mean, anybody that's been involved in helping people or going into court, no, the court ain't trying to have no trial. They're going to set you down and try to work out some kind of a compromise, some kind of a settlement. Now, the problem is the attorney, if you add the attorney as an M1 defendant, because the attorney is the one that signed and their law firm as a second defendant, or you discuss this in your letter, you'll get their attention. And if they don't do what you asked, and what you want them to do is, one, discharge the debt. You want them to contact the credit reporting agency and remove the false information they reported to them, because that was not your debt. Your debt had been charged off. And once they do that, your credit score will increase almost overnight, pretty much overnight. You'll see. Now, if they give you a hard time, you just tell them, you know what? If you give me a hard time, I'm going to contact the medical facility, and I'm going to include them as the third person on the lawsuit. And that will pretty much get their attention, because they know that if you did that, that healthcare facility would be in a world of trouble. And okay, so they don't care about healthcare facility. We already know attorneys only care about themselves. Okay?
That's right.
So that's where we're going to get right down to it. The attorney knows that they would not be able to do debt collection for that facility anymore. And not only that, they would get put on the blacklist, and no one else would want to work with them because they were not able to control you like they're supposed to. So this letter, coronavirus, priced at only $20. And this letter I had as the notice of claim letter with the HIPAA lawsuit package. And people were investing in the package, but never had to file the lawsuit because the letter pretty much took care of it. So I put the lawsuit package aside and just put the letter there for $20, so people can use it. And believe me, it's undefeated. It's totally undefeated right now. So if you need the lawsuit, for instance, say if they have been garnishing your wages and stealing your money out of your paycheck, or if they attack your bank account because of this situation, then you would be able to use the lawsuit to drag their butts back in court to get your money back. And if you need that, just send me an email. My email address is winincourts1@gmail.com. So it's WININCOURTS and the number 1@gmail.com. So this dispute letter is pretty powerful. I have several members in my family that have used it, and several people have used it. I haven't posted it on the website because I've been so busy with the online course that we put together. And speaking of the online course, I'm going to add another new section to it. This section that I'm going to add to it now is going to be a section to review the process of structuring the documents, because my goal here is to teach you how to do this whole process yourself.
Right.
So if you have like rental properties or investments or whatever, or you just want to help other people, okay, you'll learn the process from the beginning to the end. I don't hold nothing out. And if you follow my YouTube channel, you'll see that I give the free information right out there, and I put it right on the table for you to use. And if you can use it and get it on the paper and use the paper to get in their face and block them from stealing your stuff, great. Yep. If you need help, we got the website set up. We got the online course. Our goal is to help. I don't like to lose. So, and I've had a couple of people in my private Facebook group that I've been working with that are using our documents. And one guy told me, he told me one day that I needed to relax. And we were messaging each other back and forth. And he told me I needed to relax. And so I told him I'm a little passionate because I see where he's going. And he didn't hear me. And he ended up in a kind of a bad situation that we're trying to help him get out of now.
Okay.
And I explained to him that I could see my process is set up to the only thing I include from what they were doing is in a judicial foreclosure, we include in my lawsuit, my wrongful foreclosure lawsuit package, the only thing from their foreclosure that we include is we include a copy of a copy of what they filed, their contract, to show who signed it. We include a copy of what they filed, their contract in court or the promissory note. We include a copy of what was filed in court to start the foreclosure process. That is number one exhibit, because that shows who signed to initiate the foreclosure. And then we include a copy of the deed of trust, which actually shows who the trustee is. And, as far as the non-judicial foreclosure goes, you want to use the notice of default letter that's usually signed by an attorney. And it'll say assistant to the trustee, trustee assistant, super head trustee. I'm like, come on now. Y'all know that the trustee is not who signed that. That's all we include. People, sometimes, Gene, people get a little grumpy with me when I don't take the time to listen to everything that they want to tell me about their foreclosure that started back in 2015,
Right.
And so like one, for time, because my phone rings 3 or 4 times, I'm missing people. I said, but the most important thing is people have to understand that if you roll with me, we're not going to go into court and defend all of the stuff that they said you did or didn't do.
Right.
That's not what we're doing. What you're going to do is go into court attacking them for the misconduct. That is how I'm able to have everybody's stuff fit in the same mold. If you go into court arguing the banking side of things, the judge is going to assume there was a contract and he's going to ignore everything that you say or do. And everybody knows that's pretty much what happens when, So the only thing the best goal is to go in challenging the jurisdiction. There's so many jurisdictional defects in each. I had a thing on the last video that I made, and it showed the 22 of the most common jurisdictional defects. And there were 3 or 4 that were listed that were in most people's case. But people don't know about that, and attorneys ain't trying to address all of that.
So what we learn is like too much sometimes is not as good as just a little bit, right?
Yeah. That's absolutely true.
Like a little punch and jab rather than a big right cross or left hook or whatever.
Well, our strategy, and this is what I do is considered, what I help people learn how to do is considered non-conventional strategy. In a conventional strategy, you're going into court and you're going to put your stuff on the table, and the judge is going to decide in your favor because you're right. That's not the way it happens.
Never.
That's not the way it happens. And people who think that that's the way it goes down usually find out kind of too late. And it ends up putting them in a bad situation. The whole process in court is rigged, and it's all set up to, they don't even have a hearing until they've decided they have a way to control you. And so our goal is not to put our stuff on the table and let the judge rule in our favor, because that ain't never going to happen. And our goal is to put our stuff on the table and get it on the record how bad that they're screwing up, which in the end is going to force the judge to visualize the shared liability. Actually, all of them to visualize the shared liability. The attorney's job is to protect the judge and the court. That's the first number one job. Helping someone like us is like 6 or 7 down the list, if it's even on the list.
It's not even on the list. Yeah, I know.
It's even on the list, just to be honest, but I'm not trying to be prejudicial. Okay, I don't mind being. I have a lot of people that will back up what I'm saying because they're in my group getting help. So that's kind of sad. I got attacked on one of my ads that I posted on Facebook yesterday by somebody. I'm assuming it was a bar member, because only the bar members get really, really angry when they find out that I'm posting information free for people to use. I don't understand why they get so grumpy about it. But they started talking about the fact that I'm breaking the law because I'm practicing law without a license. And well, first off, they don't even know where I'm at. So how do they know I don't have a license? And number two, the Supreme Court in Swear versus Board of Examiners rules that no state can license the practice of the law. It's a common right. It's a Commonwealth right. It's a right that anybody has. No state can license the practice of the law.
Mm.
All those attorneys have is a bar card, and that bar card is not a license to practice law. And believe me, I've had them in court throw this in my face, and I just tell them, well, you know what? I've never seen a license to practice law. Can you show me your license to practice law? Because I sure like to see it. And while they're grabbing for their wallet or their purse, I go, no, I'm not talking about the bar card, because all that is just entry into the club. If it's a license to do something, it'll look like my driver's license, have your picture on it, with a number referencing you through a state agency, something I can call and verify. You know, by then, the judge is slamming the hammer down, telling me, we're not going to have that. I'm at court, Ms. Neighbors. And I'm thinking we already did. So,
so Guy, let me say, so they're actually, you're calling their bluff.
Well, no, it's not a bluff. It's a lie.
Well, I know, but in reality, we're playing poker. You know, show me your card, and you don't have the card. It's a bluff.
And you know what, Gene? A lot of that BS goes on in our stinking legal system. I mean, for instance, and this is one of the things I want to talk about today. So a guy called me and said, well, you know, what the case law? I was like, the case law? Are you kidding me right now? Okay, so if you want case law, you should go with your attorney. If you want to know about the facts, then you come over here and I'll teach you about the facts, because here's the way it goes. When you get them smacking their ass with the facts, the case law don't matter. The case law is not going to help them. Because the fact is, in foreclosure court, the court don't have jurisdiction to do foreclosures, because the statute they're using to give the court jurisdiction is missing the element necessary to be considered a valid law.
Let me interject something here. When I was with the state police, and I got a parking ticket for being in Elizabeth, New Jersey, which I never was. And
for being what?
Elizabeth, New Jersey, I got a ticket for being in a parking, and I never was. They wrote the wrong license number down.
Oh.
So what I did was I said, okay, I'm going to call and find out what I can do. So I called up. They said, well, you got to come into court. You got to take care of this problem. I don't want to hear anything about it. That's it. I said, well, I work for state police. Well, it doesn't matter where you work for. I said, okay, I'll be in. Thank you. Hung up the phone. Now here, this is the power of knowing people, right? Took the ticket to my commanding officer, which is the chief superintendent of the station of the state police. And I said, can you do anything with this? I said, I got a ticket for parking, and I don't park in Elizabeth. It's not my car. And they said, I got to go in. He said, watch this. Hey, who's this on the phone? Shirley. Hey, Shirley, how you doing? It's Bud. Hey, right? So she's talking to him. Hey, remember that pool I got you? That pool that we took care of? I need you to do something for me. Can you take care of this ticket? It's for a guy that works under me, and they told him he's got to come in. Well, what's his name? And they gave my name and the license plate number. Oh, what kind of ticket? It's a parking ticket. So they look at the docket number. Oh, well, okay, we can take care of that right away. Really? Oh, how can you do that? Well, we work together, right? You took care of my pool. I take care of you. So it's the buddy system. It doesn't matter about the legal part of it, whether you're right, whether you're wrong, it's who you know. And that's my point. I just happen to know somebody in there to take care of that problem. Now, if I was on the outside looking in, I'd have to go. So my point is just what you said. The buddy system in the court is the same way. The lawyers know the judges are lawyers, and they're all together in the club. And unless you're in that club, you're always going to be on the outside. Always. And I think that's relating to what you said.
And it's not going to be fair.
And it's not going to be fair.
And, you know, I had a guy tell me, well, you know, I see you're outside the box. Like, no, I don't have a box. He said, well, you don't follow the rules? I said, well, who made the rules? The rules, they made the rules. I said, but you know what? It's interesting that you say that. And I'm not trying to be like a smart aleck or nothing, but here's the deal. Why should I follow the rules when they ain't following them? They're not following none of the rules.
Yeah. They make the rules as they go along. And they don't follow whatever they make. They want you to follow them, but they want, I know, I get it.
So he was like, oh, well, that's a good point. You know, people make the process complicated because they've listened to attorneys fill their heads up with a bunch of crap. You know, it shouldn't be about all of this stuff. It should be about the facts. The fact is, the attorney is the only one that signs the documents to start the foreclosure. The bank is nowhere around. That's the fact. At this point, you have to make some critical decisions. Do you pay an attorney to help you? Well, we already know how that works. They'll keep taking your money until you run out of money and then throw you under the bus. Or maybe they'll throw you under the bus beforehand. I have not talked to very many people that was happy, actually, anybody that was happy with what the foreclosure attorney did for them. So what if you're short on money? Well, that's pretty much everybody.
Yeah.
Attorneys out. 10% of us,
yep,
maybe 15% of us can afford to hire an attorney. That's a whole lot of percentage of us that can't afford to hire an attorney.
That's right.
So do you answer their lawsuit alone? Or and people always say, how many have you won? I'm like, okay, when people ask me that, it just kind of makes me want to think, okay, so they don't really understand what's going on. Because when you're looking at what your strategy should be, you should be thinking, okay, does this make sense? Okay. You know, I had a guy tell me, oh, my attorney said we're going to file an antitrust lawsuit after. I'm like, oh, what? I've been doing this crap for a long time, and I actually went and looked it up because I wanted to see how in the hell an antitrust lawsuit had what it had to do with the foreclosure.
Right.
And basically what it had to do with the foreclosure was going after them for violating copyrights. I don't know. I don't know.
Was he just grasping at straws, you think?
Huh?
Was he just grasping at straws?
Yeah, I think he was just filling the guy's head up with crap. Yeah. Okay, so the number one thing was he told the homeowner, we can do this after they're done with the foreclosure. Mm-hmm. Okay, so what, are you kidding me right now? I'm just gonna sit here and let them finish kicking my butt before we do something. And that's the number one thing. In my program, we're doing something right now. That once they tell you we're foreclosing or send you a document saying that, it's time to take action, you don't have to wait until they're done taking your stuff and ready to kick you out of the house before you start fighting. You don't have to do that. And you don't have to answer alone. And what I teach people how to do is I teach people how to use your lawsuit as your answer. You don't have to answer to them and do their crap. You can file your lawsuit in federal court, get a file stamp copy of it. Here's my answer. Because at the end of the day, if you file in higher court, all the crap they were doing down there, it's going to come to a stop. That's the way it goes. We have to learn how to use their system against them. And that's pretty much what we help you learn how to get done. You can file your own lawsuit in federal court, trump what they're doing, and make them come answer to you. And that's why when people ask me, how many have you won? I'm like, you kidding me? What other option you got? Let me, what you got on the table? It's like filing stuff in their case is not going to help you. Believe me, I did that for 6 years, help people do it. I have figured out a strategy to help people kind of get a few, I wouldn't really call them wins. We got a few stops where they just went, sat down, but nothing like what we're doing now. And that's one of the big differences. People are getting it done, and it's making a difference. And the biggest mistake that most people make, and I think I mentioned this in every one of my videos, or at least I tried to, the biggest mistake that most people make is they don't even have the person that actually signed the documents to initiate the foreclosure. They don't have them listed on their lawsuit any place. It's the attorney. Chat. And this is one of the other fake things that we're led to believe that we were talking about earlier. You know, it turns out the lender's suing you. No, it's not the lender. It's the attorney suing you as a third-party debt collector. And until you figure that out, you're going to struggle. When you figure that out, you will be driver of the bus. That's what I say in my videos all the time. You want to be driver of the bus. And it's really funny. I had a guy call me one day, and he's like, hey, my name's Bob. Is this guy neighbors? And I'm not used to people calling and asking me for my name, even though I have like 80 videos now, you know, I still kind of, you know. And I said, yeah. He said, well, this is Bob. And I've been watching your YouTube videos. And man, I was like, so Bob, so what's your goal for calling today? He said, I want to be driver of the bus.
People taking back their lives, empowering people. Coach
You want to be driver of the bus. I fell out of my chair cracking up laughing. I was like, okay, dude, we need to get your hands on the wheel. You know, are you ready to make your investment? And he was already like, I just did. He clicked the yeah. And I told him, like I tell everybody, I'm going to show you how to have some fun. And I had a lady from, I don't know, she was from Poland or something, and she has a really strong accent. And she called me last week, and she said, yeah, coach, we got him, coach. We backed them, they couldn't answer. So we're going to get ready to file a notice of default letter. And she says, and I'm going to file a sanction motion and jam up the attorney just because I want to. And then she says, and coach, I'm having fun. Okay, so I said, that's pretty significant when you can get somebody that's in foreclosure and she hasn't won yet, they haven't sat down, and yeah, but the whole program is different for her now because she can fight, she's getting her punches in, and they have not responded. So they're out of time.
So what do they have? Like, it's like a 30 days to respond to?
Well, I think
was it unlimited?
States are different. No, some states, like in Kansas, you have 21 days to respond. Well, and this is before the coronavirus stuff. So, you know, and then like in New York or places back east where you are, some places there's 30 days. So, but see, I always tell people, and part of my job as a coach is to help people learn how to do this, you know? So when it comes to that part of it, I tell them, look, you need to figure it out with the court because, you know, every place is different. And I would never step up and say that I know something or whatever if I don't. Because if I did that, then I would be giving you crappy ass advice, and that's what attorneys do. You know, nobody ever think I'm an attorney, so.
No, you're right. It's
and plus, you know, my Google reviews to me are everything, because that is the only way in this business. There's so many attorneys ripping people off and paralegals who want to be an attorney, which I never do. So we're gonna get that straight right from the gate. That ripping people off too because they want to be an attorney, it's hard to figure out who you can trust. And you know, I had a guy call me one day, and well, we emailed back and forth, and he emailed me really long emails with all of his documents, and I don't look at people's documents. I don't want to see it. If I do look at your document, it's going to be the judge's order, because I love helping you smash the judge's order. But otherwise, I don't look at your documents. I don't check. That's up to you to handle. Well, this guy sent me all the documents, and I'm emailing back, look, this is not how I do things. And he's, you know, and then finally he just got grumpy. He got kind of smarty pants.
They wanted to do it for them. Yeah.
And, you know, so then he called me, and we weren't getting along very well on the email. So the phone conversation is not going to go very well either. So.
But you're such a nice guy. But you're trying to empower the people to do for themselves.
Right. But for me, I have a hard time. Okay, let me change that. I do not work with people that are abusive. if you call me and you're abusive to me, that's it. That's it. I'm done. And I just, and to be honest, I felt bad for him. And so what I did was I just sent him the lawsuit package because I didn't want his family to be kicked out in the street just because he was too much of a butthead to work. Anyway, and I told him, you're on your own, okay? I'm sending you this free of charge, you're on your own. And I just felt like God wanted me to do it that way instead of just throwing him under, not ignoring him and kind of throwing him under the bus, And so I told him, but you're on your own. And if you accept this, then you're agreeing to our terms here. I have no responsibility to help you with this. This is not like on the regular program where you pay me and then I have an obligation. I'm giving you this out of the goodness of my heart, and you're on your own. And so then he called me a bunch of times. And I tried to work with him.
Kind of funny.
I tried to work with him, and I told him, look, this is what you need to do. You need to stop this. Oh no, it's just I'm going to wait till they get done in state court, and then I'm going to do this. And so yeah, so I don't know how it's going with him. I don't think it's going well, but I just don't work with people who are abusive, and I have a hard time with people who allow the anxiety to interfere with their ability to make decisions.
Right.
Because I don't like to lose. So, and even though it's not really considered a loss if the people don't follow the program and do each step like they're supposed to, I still take it as a loss. So,
and it is a loss because it's maybe somebody that I understand what you're saying. I do that all the time with people. Either they get it or they don't get it, type of thing. And you try to reach out, you give them as much help as you can. You say, listen, I'm trying to empower you to do what you need to do for yourself and your family. If you don't get that, then we're not going to connect and we're not going to make it happen. But if you do get that and you're willing to listen, sit back and listen instead of, we got something going there. And it doesn't just apply to what you're doing, to any type of business. Any type of business I got many meetings this week, and I'm hoping that these meetings turn out well. But if these people aren't willing and receptive to what I have to offer, then there's nothing there for me. I wish them good luck and great whatever the business they're doing, and goodbye. But like you said, I don't feel obligated. I don't feel obligated because I reached out or they reached out to me and it didn't work. I feel obligated when I know it could work and it didn't.
Yeah. I agree with you. I agree with you. And I take it, I'm sorry, I take it personal because what I do here is very important to me, and it's my life. And they forced me into this position. And I decided that never again with my family, if my family's ever in this position again, I want to learn how to handle it. And out of that came the idea that I can teach other people how to handle it and get in attorneys' faces all over the United States. Now I'm having fun. They mess with me, they treated me like I was stupid.
That's crazy.
Like, yeah, well, we're gonna see about that.
So yes, last week you were talking about credit a little bit. Can we talk about credit for a minute? We were talking about charge-offs, and the whole idea behind the charge-off, according to what they say and what we say, is a charge-off is just sold to another creditor. The creditor buys it, or a lawyer for a law firm, whatever, buys it for pennies on the dollar, and they resell it. But they take that, whatever's left over, the money or whatever, and they send it to the IRS as a loss, correct?
Well, okay.
That's why I'm asking you to tell me, because I want to make sure I got what you're trying to tell us.
Okay. So the way it goes is the charge-off is just a corporate word for discharging a debt from the corporation, so that at the end of the year, that corporation goes into the next year clean and all this stuff is handled. So it's kind of like a benefit for the corporation for being a corporation to be able to use these losses as a charge-off. And when you do the charge-off, you're claiming it as a loss on your taxes, and you're also claiming it as a loss on your insurance. So you're compensated, theoretically speaking, with the figures, I guess. And once that happens, it's illegal for them to sell the debt. So they don't sell the charge off, they sell the alleged debt, what's left of the debt, because it should have been charged off and done. You see where I'm going?
Yeah.
They sell that alleged debt to third-party debt collectors for pennies on the dollar. And this is what makes the debt collection illegal. Well, that whole process makes it illegal, and it makes these attorneys that are doing this conspirators to the fraud that's been done in the first place. And the attorneys are collecting have no consideration, and they have no contract. Usually all they have is a billing statement, and generally the billing statement is not even signed. At the end of the day, your signature on that contract application is what generates the electronic credits of income they're saying was the loan.
Mm-hmm.
So that process is the same process as, in my opinion, as like a promissory note goes through. But people don't know that. And school loans, absolutely the same thing. And I have a package for the school loans and we're actually working with a couple of people on, we have one deferred, and one they haven't responded to, but they're not collecting, sitting in the collection bill anymore. And I don't remember what the third one process. It's been a while since I worked on those, but we have a process that we put together to address that problem too, because the whole problem is illegal the way they're collecting. And it's, I tell you, so these attorneys are, telling me that I'm an unauthorized practice of law without license. What they don't understand is that it's not about law right now. It's not about law.
Right.
It's about public policy. And public policy is nothing more than corporate rules.
Right.
Because we already talked last week about how the statute that they use for foreclosure does not contain the necessary elements to be considered a valid law. So it's not even about the law. It's about BS. That's what it's about.
Yeah.
And until people start figuring that out, they're going to struggle. So if you have a third-party debt collector coming after you, the best thing you can do is call them on the phone. Get that letter and just review that letter and call them on the phone and just talk about one or two things out of the dispute letter. It don't have to be a medical dispute, okay? It could be, if it's a third-party debt, if it's a third-party collection being collected by a third-party debt collector, all you gotta do is let them know that they're, you're gonna, I had one lady, I told her, look, she said, oh, they're giving me, and this lady spoke really soft. She said, oh, but they're giving me a hard time. Well, call them back and ask to talk to someone from the risk department, the risk, R-I-S-K, risk department. That's the department that handles the lawsuits.
Right.
And when that person gets on the phone, you need to let that person know that you need their name and their employee number. You're going to need to know if they're bonded. You're going to need all that information, because you're going to add that person to your lawsuit, and you're also going to sue them for their assets. And I said, you're going to claim damages. You're going to claim the assets as your damages, as your damages. And if you want to take it a step further, ask them what kind of car his wife drives. Yeah, she called me back a couple of days later, and she was laughing.
Oh, really? It worked.
Yeah. They don't, dude, these third-party collectors, they have, it's just like it's just like the foreclosure stuff. They have so many people that are jumping off the cliff. They don't have time for people that are screaming and fighting, especially if you're about to cost them money. It's all about costing them time and money.
Right. They don't have the lawyers to send into the court, so they're not going to really take you to court. That's what you're saying. Or they may.
Well, they can't, because you have added the attorney to your lawsuit as the #1 defendant. Now, and that attorney is illegally collecting as a third-party debt collector. Nobody else is gonna be able to come to court and help that attorney because they all doing the same crap. So you're here helping, but you're doing the same crap. So you got no credibility either.
So what you're saying is they'll probably will leave you alone and go to somebody else that they can get the money from.
Absolutely.
Right. I hear you.
Absolutely.
That makes sense.
But you have to convince them that you ain't playing. And it's not about case law. It's about knowledge and facts. And they know that they're not going to have a chance in hell. I had a young lady from Nigeria that I sold a car to when I was back in 2015. I sold her car, and she had a little boy. He was 5 years old. He's really sweet. And about 2 months after paying for the car, she called me up in tears one day. I was like, dude, what's up? She said, well, they're garnishing my wages, and I'm not going to be able to make my car payment. I was like, who's garnishing your wages? All these third. I was like, oh, no, dude. I said, meet me at the library. So we met at the library, and I took the paperwork, and I showed her what was going on with the paperwork. And then I emailed her copies of it so she could personalize them. And I explained to her how that works. It's like I'm doing with you guys. So when it gets to the point to where they're doing a wage garnishment, it's total BS. And I'll tell you why. The wage garnishment crap is done. It's supposed to be in an administrative court. Well, all the courts are administrative courts. But you're supposed to have opportunity to defend yourself and everything, but you don't do that. When anybody that's had their wages garnished, they just garnish your wages. They send you some paperwork. And if you take that paperwork.
I'm listening, go ahead.
And I was taking a drink of water.
Okay.
If you take that paperwork and you look at it down in the bottom, underneath the number, there's a bunch of real small letters, or sometimes it's over in the corner. So I was helping a lady one day, and I Googled those letters to see what that was. And what it was the administrative wage garnishment package. It's on the internet. You can pull it up, print it off, you fill out the paperwork, and you take it down there and you give it to the employers, and they freak out because the wording is real stern. The problem is, it ain't signed by a judge nowhere. And not only is it not signed by a judge, there's no paperwork in court. They just take the administrative paperwork that's supposed to be filed through court and giving you opportunity to respond to it through court. They just take that paperwork and they fill it out and they send it to the employer to garnish your wages, and it ain't signed by a judge no place. And if you guys are in a wage garnishment, you need to do something about that, because most of these companies don't even check because they're so worried they're going to get called into court or whatever because of the fear that these attorneys put in their face. But the wage garnishment. So this young lady, and I actually left and went to Florida, so I hadn't talked to her for a real long time. So 2 months ago, she found me on LinkedIn and she sent me a message. So I sent her my number and she called me and she started talking. So not only did she use that paper, I was so proud of her. I tell her when I start my business, I want to hire her. She's going to be one of my hires. She not only called them, she got her paperwork together. She filed her stuff in court, and she went to court every day. And she told the judge, "No, Your Honor, I'm not having that." Yeah. So the judge actually forced them to dismiss her case. They made the attorneys return her $3,000 that they took garnished out of her wages. And this is what made her whole conversation special with me. She told me, she said, "Coach, they tried to pay me with a personal check. The last payment, they wanted to pay me with a personal check." And I'm like, no. And I'm thinking, what the hell? So why didn't you want to take a personal check? She said, because I want that payment to come off of their business ledger. So everybody can see that they messed up when they came after me. And I was like, oh my God, I would have never thought of that. Okay.
So personal check is not a good idea.
Well, the guy, I think for most people, it wouldn't have even mattered because you just go cash and get your money. But for her, she wanted the whole amount to come out of their business account. So, you know, I would have never even thought about that. I tell you, I have learned. I had a Korean lady, a young girl who filed her lawsuit, and she called me one day. She said, Coach, I filed it in another place. I'm like, you filed it in another place? She said, yeah, my friend told me to file it in another place. I was like, well, where did you file it? She said, well, I filed a file stamp copy of my lawsuit with the less pendants in the county recorder's office. And I was like, oh. And she's like, well, Coach, did I do good? Coach. I was like, oh, yeah. You did good. She's like, well, what's the problem? You're not saying nothing. I said, well, okay, honestly, I'm thinking, why the hell didn't I think of that?
Because you got so much on, because that's the thing. We get so busy with stuff around us, and we're so accustomed to what we do that when we hear something new or something different, we're like, oh, maybe that'll work, or maybe that's a better idea. So we learn from each other, right? I'm learning from you, you're learning from me, I'm learning from other people that contact me all the time. And then you just said it, you're learning from other people too. So that's great.
I'm still learning.
Great.
And I called the lady when I first started doing this in 2012, I think, or something. I'm not going to mention her name because I don't want to put anybody on spot. But I looked her up, and she's from Florida, and she helped people with foreclosures. And I was looking at her stuff, and I thought, wow, maybe I could like some of my ideas in here, So I emailed her. I said, hey, can I call you sometime, And she's like, oh yeah, sure. So I called her, and she only wanted to talk about her stuff. She didn't want to hear any of my ideas or anything. And when I hung up the phone, I was like this. And my wife was like, well, what's wrong? I said, well, that lady has such talent, but she's not interested in anybody else's ideas. Mm-hmm. And I told my wife, if I ever get that way to where my head is too big and I think I know everything, I want you to shoot me in the foot. Now, to give you an idea how severe that is, I wear a size 16 shoes.
You're a big guy.
That's a lot of foot to be shot in the foot. So I vowed not to ever put myself in that position.
Okay.
Because I've learned stuff from so many people that I've been helping, and and I just give them the credit. I'm in the group. I'm like, yeah, we're in the group. This is what Lily came up with. I can't believe I didn't think of this, but here it is, and everybody's like, yeah, Lily.
Okay, that's what we gotta get some more. We gotta get some more people from the group on the show to tell us not too much about their case, but a little bit where they've been, how they started with you.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And most people in the group don't mind.
And they don't have to give a lot of information. They can keep it private, but they can say we're in the group. They don't have to say the name. If you want them, they want to, they can. But it gives more validity to you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll talk to them and see if I know there's a couple of people that I know. Shamel Maxwell, she's in the group, and she used a new jurisdictional challenge with an affidavit to block the sale of her dad's house, and they tried to say they lost her paperwork, but she followed the program. I told her to make sure that they signed for it when they picked it up at the post office, and they did. And so when they told her they lost her paperwork, and the next day we already had the paperwork that she filed in court to address that person who signed, because that person was responsible to make sure that her stuff got on the record the day that it was picked up. And once we found out that was on the table, they straightened up. And not only did they straighten up, they have filed, the attorneys have filed a motion to dismiss, and it wasn't signed by the judge or anything. and they didn't even respond to it. And so when she addressed this issue with them losing their stuff, then she also brought up this situation where there's documents filed in court,
Right.
and they did not serve her a copy of it. And she addressed that, and the clerk, she said the clerk pulls it out and looked at it and said, oh my God, this has not been signed by the judge, and it's not signed by anybody. This is frivolous, and I'm taking this out. And she took it out. And I told Shamel she was the one that put it in there. But I told her don't attack her on that, because we got her doing what we need to have doing, what we need to have her doing. So we don't really need to. We just need to keep forcing them to visualize the shared liability. Is what we learn how to do. Once you can put yourself in a position to force them to share to visualize the shared liability, then people start backing out. And you only need one person to back out, because what they're doing, they have to do it collectively as a group to make the fraud work. And then when you have somebody back out, then the rest of them start thinking, well, I'm going to be all alone, and
Yeah, it's not worth doing it anymore.
And that's the number one thing that I was talking to a lady, and she was telling me, well, no, the foreclosing attorney, there was an attorney that started foreclosing 5 years ago, and now there's an attorney that's foreclosing now. And I want to add that other attorney too, because I'm like, no, don't worry about that attorney. You have it listed on your thing. You reserve the right to amend. So you can add anybody anytime. But people don't realize the more people you have on there, the more complicated it becomes. And what they do is, if you add all 10 people plus the neighbor and all that, then one person said, oh, well, I didn't get served, so I'm moving to dismiss. Oh, wait, I'm not a part of this problem, so I'm moving to dismiss. So all those extra people will move to dismiss the whole case. And I think they set it up that way to muddy the waters. It's part of their process.
Because that make it linger a lot longer. So that's a good point. That's a real good point.
Not only does it make it linger a lot longer, it lowers the liability for everybody, because now I can claim, well, I didn't have anything to do with this transaction or whatever, so I'm moving to dismiss. Okay, now what you should do is move to remove yourself from it. But that's not what they do, because they're all trying to help each other.
Right.
So they move to dismiss. So the more people you got on there, the more shots they're going to be taking at throwing your butt under the bus. Now, what I tell people is, I like to only add 3 people. The attorney that's in your face right now, that's signed. The law firm for the attorney that's in your face right now, that's signed. And the last servicer, and that's it. And the reason I like to do that is because I want that attorney to have to protect the servicer. Okay, that's what you want. You want one have to protect the other one.
The other, right.
If you have all people, now nobody can be held liable, because everybody's passing the buck the other way.
That's what they do. Oh my God.
So you get one attorney, and now here's what happens. So you got one attorney, and that attorney is saying, oh, well, damn, why the hell am I responsible for all of this stuff when all these other people over here are the ones saying, yeah.
The ones that started it, yeah.
And these other people over here saying, dude, shut your mouth and get this under control, because we ain't trying to have this be a problem. And then, look, dude, I ain't taking the heat for you guys. Dude, you better shut up and get that, yeah.
They're fighting in between, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And that's kind of when we come in. That's a good point. I love
and
that.
Now what happens is this group of people over here start worrying about this person
maybe caving. We'll cave.
Caving in. Yep. Because we already know attorneys are cowards, and foreclosure defense attorneys are cowards, and they ain't trying to So now they got to worry about them caving in. And when that starts, they're like, okay, dude, let's just cut our losses.
No, that sounds like it's a great point, because, people get pissed off. I was pissed off at Bank of America for years, and I always wanted to get them back. So in a lawsuit, I wanted to name them in the lawsuit. So And you're 100% right, because you want to grab everybody you can. And I never thought that through. Like you said, they could just say, I want to be dismissed. And that ties up even longer. So yeah, that's a good point. Good point.
At the end of the day, it don't matter. You shoot one person. It don't matter who that person is. But if you got a whole bunch of people on there, so what happens with most people is they add all those people, and then all those people respond, and then you don't reply in time because now you got 14 responses and you see how that goes?
Yep.
You got 14
Exactly.
responses and you're trying to respond to all of these people's stuff, and then you miss a date and this person is moving to dismiss the whole thing because you didn't respond, even though you responded to the other 5 already. Yeah. And when I spell that out, people are like, oh my God, you know what? You're absolutely right. It doesn't matter. People get so emotionally wrapped up in it that
they want that. They want you to
lose track of what the goal is.
They want you to.
The goal is to get to stay in your house.
Right.
And that means that you can't get all of those people. You only need the one that's in your face right now that's signed. And that's the biggest difference between what I do and what other people do. Because if you go into court, and you're suing for wrongful foreclosure and breach of contract, but you got the lender as the number one defendant, the judge knows you're never going to have a chance to do anything. I mean, why waste my court time when you don't even have the right person? Look, the lender is not the one that signed. So you're suing the wrong person,
right?
But they're not going to tell you that.
Right.
They tell you you have no cause of action under Rule 12B for failure to state a claim. Believe me, I've been told that a lot.
Yeah.
But I don't get it anymore.
No, but Coach Neighbors, I got to apply this to my case, because when we got the third party that got involved after the 2 or 3 other signing agents didn't want to do it because we kept stopping them. What I think was, if we had your strategy, because I had them thinking, maybe I shouldn't pursue this because the other 2 wasn't successful. And how successful can I be if they weren't successful? So I wanted to use their negativeness against the person, the law firm. And I did all kinds of things about that. Of course, I could do things while other people can't because I got the radio station. So I could actually demote them and tell people not to go there. I had people calling there saying, hey, drop the case, drop this, drop that. Thousands and thousands of people telling you drop the case, telling you, number one, I won't even deal with your law firm. If I ever had to deal with a law firm, I would never deal with you. And telling everybody in every state to do that, that's going to be a huge, huge block. And that's kind of where I was going with this, but I didn't have the right type of thing. If I had your strategy, I could have applied it and I could have stopped it then. I think I really could have did something with it. And I'm so sorry. Guys, I wish, I'm talking to the listeners out there and people out there on Facebook. I really wish I had his strategy, because in my case, I could have stopped it. I already had them thinking, why weren't the other 2 successful, and how am I going to be successful if they weren't? And all I needed was his strategy. That's all I needed.
Well, you got it now, buddy. So
I know, but it's too late now.
I know. It's too late for me to save my house too, because I went through this and I did not learn fast enough, protect my family. But you know what? I can help other people protect.
There you go.
Families.
That's it. And then that's what we got to live and learn from.
That's how I roll.
Yeah, that's how I roll too. Because if we can help other people save their homes, or just get them the attorneys to go, well, wait a minute, maybe I shouldn't push this person around. They're a lot more, in my face.
They have a real legal team.
Yeah, they have a real legal team. They're in my face, where the other ones I can close on them anytime I want. I'm going to back off this one for now and then put it on the side. And
Well, I tell you, I got a call. I had a lady in Florida who contacted me, and when she contacted me, they were already putting their stuff out and evicting them out of their house.
oh, wow.
And it was her mom. Her mom was like 92.
Oh, my
And
God.
yeah, so so I'm helping her. I mean, I live with my mother-in-law now. She's 91. So I can a lot of old people have no choice, no options because they don't know how to get on the computer or do any of this stuff. So I took the real. Her case was real to me, to my heart.
Personal, very personal. Yeah, that's good.
And so I took it personal. That's the word I'm looking for. So anyway, so we got her stuff together. We got a package together for her. We set her. We got a strategy. We put her in and she did a great job of following the game plan, getting everything filed in time, and doing what she was supposed to, even though they tried to distract her. And so about a month and a half or 2 months passed by. And so one night I got a call from her. It was like 12:30. And I thought, well, I don't know what the hell she's calling me for 12:30 in the morning. So I answered the phone, and I'm still sitting here working. My wife was kind of sitting here playing on her phone. And I answered the phone and I said, hey, and there was music in the background. So she turned the music down. And she's like, hey, Coach Neighbors, hey, big guy, we just want to call and we just want to say that I love you. And we're really glad that, I said, what are you guys doing? Well, we're back in our house. I said, oh, you guys are back in the house? She said, yeah, we're back in our house. And they're supposed to deliver their stuff back tomorrow. And they got a lady coming to put the balances up or something. I don't even know what that is. And then I heard her mom in the background, and her night, she like, woo-hoo, Coach Neighbors, and she's yelling. I'm like, what the hell's wrong with your mom? She's like, oh, we're drinking wine and we're celebrating. And my mom's kind of drunk,
Oh, that's a great
I was like, I kind of made my eyes tear up, It's like, okay,
you're such a good
this
guy.
is
That's
a
such
moment this is why I do this,
Great story. Yeah, and that's the reason why we do it. We're end of the show, but do you have any people where people can reach you, contact you, your group, your email, everything? And then we'll be here again next week, Wednesdays.
Yep. You guys can reach me. My website's winincourtnow.com. On the website, right underneath the heading to the left side is a link to my paralegal school, where I'm hosting the online course. So you can click on that and check out the course, or you can scroll down. If you go to the website, I always suggest people go to the website before you call me. That way you have an idea, you have a better idea of what your options are and what I help you do. And if you scroll down on the website, down past the videos, you will be able to see the disclaimer. You'll also be able to see the most asked questions and answers section. And I like people to go there and make sure that you read those questions and answers before you call me. That way, when you call me, all those questions you have the answer to, and we can start with a game plan moving forward. Now, if you have a question about the questions and answers, I'll answer it. But if you ask me a question that's in the questions and answers and I don't think you read the questions and answers, I'm going to blow the whistle and I'm going to send you to the bench. Okay, no, I won't send you to the bench. I'll send you to the questions and answers because it's easier for you to review them than it is for me to tell you about them, okay? Because it was a real long time ago that I wrote all that stuff, and that stuff was based off of data. And so I would not be able to remember everything, and it would just be a lot easier for you and more efficient with our time use. And my number is 913-240-0227. You could call me anytime after you read the questions. Okay. And Gene's going to leave a link to the product page for the dispute letter, for the HIPAA dispute letter. It's been marked down to like $20. And I think that letter can help you repair your credit score. It'll help you get them out of your face. and it'll teach you how to have some fun because you've been putting up with them harassing you for a little bit of time now. So
right, and you've been sending me a lot of stuff. You just sent me something else too, tons of stuff. So every time the guy sends it to me, I'll share it with everybody. So because he says share it with everybody, so I'll share it with you.
Great,
no problem.
that's great. And
Thank you,
thank you
guys.
for having me on today, Gene.
Thank you. Another great show. I mean, every show has been like right on bang, right on what we need to talk about. And I'm really amazed with certain things, and this is really great. So thank you again.
Yeah, I had another person reach out to me on my Facebook page, and they wanted to have me on their radio show, and
Good.
so we were talking a little bit, and so my question was, okay, so are you having me on because you're a fan of my work, or are you having me on to challenge me? I mean, either way, I'll go on the show if I think, because I'm not afraid of a challenge, but I just want to know. Well, he didn't really answer. Then he came back, and so we had a little dialogue back and forth, and then well, we're helping people win, and we're helping people do this and do that, and I was like, well, that's great, and at the end of the day, it was more about bragging on his stuff than it was about me being on the show. So, and at that point, I messaged him back. I said, well, I'm already on the radio show, and here's the link. So I'm going to be on Wednesday at 1:00 Central Time. So maybe you can listen to my show.
That's the way to do it. That's the way to do it.
But I don't want to say which one because I don't want to start any, and I'm here to do what I got to do, and all that political crap and other stuff, and the drama can be saved for their mama because I ain't interested in the drama. So.
We're too old for that. Yeah. I love you, brother. You're so cool. All right. Have a good day. Thanks for being here again.
Thank you.
Great show.
Guys, have a great day.
And I'll send you to other shows too. Okay.
Okay, cool.
Right. Bye-bye.